Hey guys, and welcome to our live In Her Financial Shoes podcast this evening. How are you all? Thank you so much for listening live this evening. I am so incredibly excited. My whole family is excited about this podcast interview. My boys, John, are in the other room. They were like, can we come in and speak to John? They may sneak in. There's a strong possibility. We've been talking about their big idea for their YouTube channels. They're like 8 and 10.
Oh, God.
So they may sneak in. If they do, then we'll see what happens. But thank you so much, John, for joining us. John Lee Dumas, world famous founder and host of the award-winning podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire. As a podcaster myself, I'm in complete awe of the incredible success, John, that you've had through your podcast, over 3,000 episodes every single day with over 1 million listeners every month. Just nuts. So thank you so much for your time and for being here this evening, John.
It's been quite a journey. I've enjoyed every bit of it, learned a lot along the way, and excited to chat with you, excited for your sons kind of continuing in their mother's entrepreneurial footsteps, which is fantastic. So thank you for setting a great example for them, and looking forward to adding some value to your audience today.
I loved the way you used footsteps there, like in her financial shoes. That was a great little
It was right here. I can see it.
Awesome. Well, so really what I'd love to talk about, John, this evening is you have a new book that has recently been published called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. Yes. There we go. 17 steps to success. And I would just love to hear, John, a little bit actually about the process of writing the book. I'm actually just about to publish my first book in September. So having been through the process, which seems like it's taken 2 years, I know you started writing this book in lockdown. Is that right?
Yes. So I really started writing this book 10 years ago when I first interviewed the initial guest of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And I realized at the end of that single interview that, wow, I just learned so much about what it takes to become successful, about what failure looks like and means, and how do you learn and pivot and adjust from failure. And then interview number 2 and 10 and 100 and 1,000 and now 3,000 episodes after a decade of doing this with over 100 million total listens and over 1 million listens every single month. I've built a media empire about being a conduit of brilliant people being asked very simple questions by me, and then them sharing unbelievable value to my listeners. So I don't really give myself a ton of credit beyond just working really hard to make that possible on a daily basis for so long. But I did listen. I did take notes. I did continue to learn from every single one of them. And about a year ago, I realized hey, these are massively successful entrepreneurs. And if I'm being really honest, they've taken a very common path. Not complicated, not secret, not hidden, but common. And I just realized that a lot of people in my audience didn't feel like the path was common when they listened to my guests because it just felt so unattainable, but it's not. And I said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to take their genius, the 3,000 plus geniuses of amazing entrepreneurs, and I'm going to create this common path to uncommon success. And that turned out to be a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. And the book, it was a process. I mean, for anybody that's writing a book like yourself, you just asked, what was it like?
Yeah.
Committing to sitting down the first 2 hours of every day and doing nothing else except writing. No more, but definitely never less. And that was for 8 consecutive months, 480 hours,
Wow.
Piece by piece, hour by hour, day by day. I wrote that book, 71,000 words in 8 months. And now it's available to the world.
Where does that drive for that commitment come from, John, for you? Because when I hear about your story as to when you launched Entrepreneurs on Fire, you couldn't find a podcast that that interviewed the world's best experts that you could listen to every single day. And that was how you created your podcast. Like, where does that commitment and drive come from, John?
Can I be honest? It comes from being kind of lazy. And like, I mean that genuinely. I am a very lazy person when I want to be. And when I don't have something in my life that I'm excited about, that I'm enthusiastic about, I can't work hard on it. I can't put in the time, the effort. I can't force myself to show up every day at a job I don't like, at a career that I'm not inspired by. And I saw that that was my future. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take that quote seriously, which is like, an entrepreneur works like nobody's willing to for a handful of years so they can live like nobody's able to for the rest of their life. Because frankly, I'm kind of lazy. So I traded in 4 to 5 years of busting my butt, working harder than anybody was willing to work in my specific niche and industry of a daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs, so that I didn't have to work for 40 years, 40 hours a week, doing something that I didn't enjoy doing. And so I just made that trade, and I worked so hard to achieve it. And now, as I'm talking to you, Catherine, I'm 10 years in. I'm in the 4th season of my career, and each season's gotten consecutively easier every step of the way. And here I am now. I work an average of 4 days per month. That's it. I have 4 days per month where I work really, really hard. Like today, you're one of 20 people that are interviewing me for their shows. I do this 1 day per month. 2 other days per month, I'm back to back all day doing interviews for Entrepreneurs on Fire. And then, the 4th day, I just have all of my meetings, all of my whatever. I just jam it all into that 4th day. And the other 26 or 27 days in the month, I have nothing on my schedule. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not sitting by my pool, like, going through my emails. I am, and my social media, and doing some things, definitely doing those things. But I have nothing on my calendar. I have nowhere I need to be, nobody I need to talk to for 26 or 27 days per month. Like,
nice.
That's why I worked harder than anybody was willing to for the first 5 years of Entrepreneurs on Fire, so that I can live like nobody's able to for the foreseeable future. I mean, my business is still going to clear over $2 million this year, working 4 days per month. And year 1 cleared $27,000 working 80 hours a month. So there's the trade-off.
And thank you for sharing that. And I know on your website, you're very open and transparent about your revenue. You've been sharing your earning reports for many, many years. And, we talk a lot on this podcast about money beliefs and behaviors, and, money mindset and money mind blocks. How important was that decision for you to openly talk about money with your audience?
I am lucky because I came from a family who really loved being open and honest about money. My dad was always the person who would talk about finances and like investments and how much mortgages cost, and not just say like turn the lights off, but really talk about why you turn the lights off, and get into that stuff. And I always understood like that, if used correctly, money can truly equal freedom. And I'm living that right now. And I can just remember, so clearly when I was deciding to take my leap 10 years ago into being an online entrepreneur, saying, can you really make money like being a good guy or a good lady, in the online worlds, like adding real value? And I came across this person, Pat Flynn, a Smart Passive Income, who was publishing his monthly income reports. And I said, wow, this guy's giving me hope and inspiration that you can add real, clean, good value to this world and make a great living. And I said to myself in that moment, if I ever get to the place where I'm generating real revenue in this world, I am going to share this type of transparency, openness, and honesty. And actually today, we just recorded our 93rd income report. That's 93 months in a row. We've now published monthly income reports at eofire.com. And it's helped a lot of people emulate our successes, avoid our failures, and be inspired by what's actually working in the world right now.
Yeah, and one of my audience has just commented and said that's so inspiring, and it really is. We need to be more open to talk about money, to normalize talking about money. And actually, one of my favorite parts in your book, John, I've actually written down like some of my key moments in your book. And when you talked about value just then, the section I've written down is, I decided in that moment to become a person of value. And in order to achieve financial freedom and fulfillment. What was that one moment for you, John?
It really does go back to showing up at work every day in my prior careers and having to answer to somebody else, having to work hard to make somebody else's dreams come true, while I felt like my dreams were kind of going further and further away. And it wasn't like an overnight thing. It wasn't like an in the moment thing. It was like a slow transition of like, this isn't the life that I want to live. Like, this is not the path that I want to take. I want to be the master of my ship. I want to control my own destiny. And by the way, not everybody wants that. I mean, very few people likely that are watching this show don't want that, but there's a lot of people in this world that are incredibly happy on the path that they're at, and they should cherish that. And that's winning, in my opinion, as well. But I was able to identify through some failures, through some struggles, through some obstacles and challenges, what I didn't want, what I didn't like. And that helped me get to what my definition of freedom was, what my definition of fulfillment was. And then I just started taking the steps to put that in motion and to take action and to make it a reality.
And how did you come up with the concept of your big idea?
Because I listen to my audience. And that's one thing that a lot of people, I think, struggle with when they're still kind of in the pre-launch stage, is they say, John, how do you come up with all of these ideas? Like, you came up with Entrepreneurs on Fire, Podcasters Paradise, Webinar on Fire, the Freedom Journal, the Mastery Journal, the Podcast Journal, the Common Path to Uncommon Success, all these other things that you've done. How do you come up with all these ideas? And I say, I don't. I ask my audience what their struggles are. And they provide me with their struggles, with their obstacles, with their challenges. And a common answer that I got over and over again is, John, I just don't have an idea. I just don't have that big idea like you had back in 2012 for Entrepreneurs on Fire. And I said, man, I'm hearing this over and over again. Light bulb went off. That's what's holding so many people back, is they just don't have their big idea. And that's why step 1, chapter 1 in this book is identify your big idea. Because most people are going to die, Catherine, without ever having identified their big idea. And that's just sad. It doesn't have to be that way, because it's not a hard process. It's a simple exercise I take you through to finally get you to your big idea.
Yeah, I love it. And we're going to pop a link in the show notes to your website so that people can go and check out your book, John. I just want to take 60 seconds to do some really quick fire questions. Is that cool? So, summer or winter?
Summer. Puerto Rico, baby.
Rock or pop music?
Pop.
More money or more time?
Time. Already got enough money.
Nice. Texting or talking?
Texting.
Favorite day of the week?
Every day. And I'm not just saying that. It wasn't always that way, but literally for me, every day is a Saturday.
I love it. Morning or night person?
Morning.
Giving money or receiving money?
Receiving money, because then I can really be deliberate and more generous with my philanthropy.
Oh, I love that. And finally, dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Neither.
Neither. Oh, what's the choice?
I love them both, but I'm on a health kick right now. So
fair enough. Well, John, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you for coming on the In Financial Shoes podcast. Have an awesome evening. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, John.